Kamaru Usman, his strengths, the number one strength that Kamaru Usman has is his years of championship experience. This is something that Khamzat hasn't felt that in a very, very long time, if ever. I don't know. I don't even know if Khamzat's been scheduled for 5 or has ever gone 5. I know somebody who has. His name is the Nigerian Nightmare, Kamaru Usman. You know, didn't have to go through a hard training camp or you know, his body more likely is actually fresh for his fight. You know what I mean? Kamaru Usman didn't have to go. Sometimes, guys, the reason why people who take fight on short notice, you know why typically they tend to win? Is because 1, they're not injured, and then 2, they're just thrown out the kitchen sink and they're actually taking risks. And that's what Kamaru Usman has right now. I know he trains like a madman. I know he's crazy. But 15 pounds of him feeling good, and he's already a big welterweight. I mean, him fighting at middleweight is absolutely crazy too. You know, he doesn't have to cut down to 170 pounds. Wrestles, and obviously his takedown defense. Kamaru Usman has only been taken down 1 time, and that was against, actually no, I take that back. He's been taken down a couple of times. I'm gonna have to give Kobe Covington one of those takedowns, but he's been taken down a couple times, you know? So even though his takedown, could he be taken down 100%? So, but the percentage of you doing that actually, you know, are pretty high for the Nigerian Nightmare. And again, guys, that's one thing that Kamaru Usman is a pressure fighter. He loves to use a pressure. He loves to pepper the jab. He's a pressure fighter along with the wrestling. That's actually what makes a guy like Kamaru Usman, just that simple jab, boom, there comes that right hand. You gotta watch out for it, or it'll put you to sleep. I'm sorry, Kamaru Usman, but how can I do this to everybody else and not do it for my boy? So, excuse me, but you know, there is things. You know, he hasn't fought at 185 pounds before. You know, could this be one of the things? Could fighting at 185 pounds be the difference in this fight? Khamzat has. Might not be in usual fight shape. You know what I'm saying? Like, knowing Kamaru Usman is constantly training, so I don't worry about that. But, you know, a lot of this actually comes with confidence. Does he feel ready to go for a 3-round fight against the Wolf? And the game planning, you know, like, when is it that Kamaru Usman is able to find a game plan for somebody that has the pedigree of wrestling that he does? You know what I'm saying? It's different. He has before with Kobe Covington, but prior to that, it was nobody, and then all of a sudden it was Leon Edwards his last 2 fights. So these are the positions where I see that Kamaru really needs to make a difference in order for him to really take his strengths and be able to win this fight against Khamzat.
Paul Felder did a good job filling in for you last week, Anthony. You got to be careful, man.
You got to watch out, Paul. Old Paulie.
Feeling him.
Yeah, Paulie will take your job. You got to watch out for that guy. There's been a couple of times where I've had an emergency come up. He's had to work the desk for me. I'm like, God damn it. Like, get someone that sucks.
Well, they're all at it, not Paul Felder, but all the other ones, you know, Alan Joban, Bilal Muhammad, who else? They're all campaigning for my job, and there's other people campaigning for your job as well. It's like there's only so many jobs to go around. You gotta earn your stripes.
I do that on I purposely don't like publicly campaign to sit cage side, and it's not because I don't want to call the fights. I would love that. I think you guys have the coolest fucking job in the world. It's that if I campaign for it, I'm essentially saying that I want one of you guys to not have a job.
Yep.
And that's
well, thank you.
That's how I feel. Like I'm no better than you or DC or Rogan or Felder or Dominic. Like, so like I feel like by saying that, I'm publicly saying I'm better than one of those guys, and I want his job so he doesn't have one. So I'll just, you know what I mean? Like when it's time, it's time. When someone moves on or does something else or whatever, I'll be ready.
Well, people do that.
They do. I know. I know.
I see them all the time. I mean, fair play, Laura Sanko. She manifested this reality, and she does a great job. But you see it all the time. People talking about it. And I go, bro, that's my job. That's partly how I pay my bills. Back off.
Or they'll come ask you, how's the best way to do it? They'll be like, Anthony, I really want to work the desk. What should I do? Like,
first of all,
you want me to help you take my job?
Yeah, you know, I never campaigned for that once. I remember when DC started commentating and Cruz started commentating. Of course, I wanted to, but I don't know. Maybe I was wrong, because a lot of people do. I mean, I'm never a guy typically that's backwards in coming forward. I'll generally speak my mind, but I'm not gonna hound someone for a job. I'm gonna wait for them to come to me. Unfortunately, that happened. You know, I was asked to audition for the Contender, did a good job on that, and then from the Contender got onto the real fights. Not the real fights, but the main cards. You know what I'm saying? So.
Without further ado, let's talk about the wolf, Khamzat Chimaev. You know, his strengths, dominant wrestling. He has faith in wrestling like you guys wouldn't believe. Anybody who ever promotes or represents the sport of wrestling is the gratitude for it is like ridiculous. Be careful with those guys, because they really, those guys really understand that game of grind. And they give credit to like all the great UFC fighters who have came from wrestling, which is all of them. You know, his high motor skill. He has conditioning like you guys wouldn't believe. Like this guy, even though he did get tired of that fight with Gilbert Burns, like other than that, like I think he's starting to understand more of his threshold. But he will go. He'll fight the first, like he'll fight the third. Switch his stance very well. He'll shoot right, he'll shoot left, he'll pop you. Like he's able to kind of cut people off of changing stance very well. That's something that makes Khamzat Chimaev different, because mixed martial arts, other than striking, is a whole new game.